Welcome back to the Joe Mobley Show, everyone. I am Joe Mobley, your host, the original uncloseted conservative, and still the host of the Joe Mobley Show. Got a really exciting show for you tonight. The first topic just is a lot of things. It's a lot of things all in one. So might stop along the way to engage with some of your thoughts and see what you guys are thinking about how the situation is unfolding. But it's essentially this. There is some type of globalist coup that's happening, and it's not just happening in the United States. It's actually happening with all Western nations right now, and it's pernicious. It's taking over society in an almost unexplainable way. But if you look at it throughout the long arc of history, it makes a lot of sense. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be setting the record straight on the Holy Wars. Yes, the Crusades, guys, and just separating fact from fiction when it comes to how the numbers stack up, the tyranny that governments have done versus the tyranny that religions have done. We are talking about Kristi Noem and her dog because the internet is still buzzing about that. I'll just say off the top, I'll probably get some hate mail and lose a couple of followers when we get there. And we are talking about that once famed institution of America, the Boy Scouts, or as I like to call them, the Scouts now. Guys, all that and more, and it all starts right now. All right, so all credit where credit is due, and actually, before we do the all credit where credit is due, guys, you can support the show in a number of ways. You can like, share, subscribe right now where you're watching. You can also go. Oh, I've got to open a private window for this because it's gonna try and log me in here. There we go. You can also go over to thejoemobleyshow.com/join to become a member and join my locals community. Guys, membership is free, but you can become a paid supporter and get access to even more exclusive content and engage with me online in ways that other people don't get to. So the links for all of this, it's right below wherever you're watching. My camera seems to be sagging, and that's going to bother me all stream. So let's just fix it. And I've got to loosen this, so I need both hands. I'm glad I wore pants for this stream. All right. Yeah. That's better. All right, so you can become a member of my member-only site. It's locals. It's awesome. The paid membership is $5 a month, and it's really a steal because you get the member-only mug, which is usually back there, but it's I used it today, so it's downstairs in the sink. And you get the member, the Joe Mobley Show shirt. All right, now we can get back to all credit to John Lovell because I watched an episode of his. I won't play any of it because it's behind his paywall. But here you can see what it looks like behind the paywall at Warrior Poet Society Network. Highly recommend you guys join this. We have to support the parallel economy that's being stood up. We have to support it. So this is watchwpsn.com, the John Lovell Show. and he's just got awesome content. But this episode right here, John Lovell's show, episode 49, It's a Global Coup, was truly just something to behold. Such a good episode with so much to talk about. So much so that this is just going to drive me crazy. There we go. Man, did I move the camera or what? So much so that we've got to talk about some of it here. So, lots of notes for this. I usually just have bullet points, but there's so much and it paints such a picture that I didn't want to miss any of it. So, let's take a look at what's really going on, particularly in the U.S., but also beyond our borders. And if you will, going through it, if we could call a spade, I think, and I think many of you think, that the globalists are making their play right now. And you can see it if you look at what's going on in Western nations, what's going on in Canada, in the UK, and most of Europe, what's going on in Australia, but definitely what's going on here in the United States. And the reason it's significant is because you have to answer the question for yourself. Do you believe a house that's divided can stand? Obviously, Abraham Lincoln said this. He was quoting Jesus, a little bit more famous than Abraham Lincoln. But, if the answer is no, then you need to consider what that means for our country. If a house divided against itself can't stand, then what does that actually mean for the country? Because all great empires don't get defeated from outside their borders. They get defeated from within their own borders. They mysteriously are rotted from within until they inevitably collapse. All right, so situation on the ground here. We don't have a border. We have a border in name only. Up to children first and males last. It seems that they've chosen to do the reverse. Like, oh, we'll leave the women and children in the hellholes and the men will escape. Super strange, super sus.
Mm-hmm.
Also drags everything down. The net benefit of the welfare benefits that taxpayers do pay for, it just like the value of the dollar has been lessened, the value of the benefits and what it means to be an American citizen is being cheapened. It's being lowered. So you have
Yep.
that. You got Speaker Mike Johnson folding. He said, I am not going to support funding for foreign wars. The United States should not support funding for foreign wars. And then he said, oh, they took me into the super secret briefing and told me the super secret and scary, doomsday scenarios. And now we must support Ukraine and all these other foreign wars because there's some super scary, super secret stuff. And we need $200 billion of taxpayer money. I don't believe that that's true. And even if it was true, everyone who's ever flown on a plane knows in the event of an emergency, mask will descend from the ceiling. Please
Mm-hmm.
put your mask on first before attempting to aid anyone else. All of the metaphors. Our boat has holes in it. Put your mask on first. Our house is on fire. Don't try and fix the neighbor's boat. Don't try and fix the neighbor's house. Our house is on fire. And we are sending hundreds of billions of dollars to support other nations fighting wars that don't have anything to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, well, bad things will happen if we don't prop up these other nations. Bad things are happening here,
Mm-hmm.
now. The border could use $200 billion. Then we have the justice system, which I affectionately call the injustice system, but it does extremely selective enforcement. Everyone watching this, everyone listening to this knows this. Some people commit crimes with impunity. They can do whatever they want. Very high profile, like Hunter Biden with the laptop and the drugs and the underage adult activities and all of that stuff. And then you can swing the list all the way to Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Epstein's little black book has been out. The Epstein list blew up the internet. No one, 0 people have been prosecuted. And every time I post this, people say, what about Ghislaine Maxwell? She was the co-conspirator. She was his partner in crime, not some random client, not just another lowly person who got swept up into a life of being human trafficked. She was the it girl. So no.
Yep.
She probably had something to do with his very legitimate self-harm that we all believe he absolutely did to himself. He probably caused the cameras to go down and bribed the guards for them to fall asleep or be away from their post so he could, do self-harm. Yep. So that's great. Then, of course, we have, like it's the 50s or the turn of the 20th century, we have a political party that is actively prosecuting and jailing members of the opposition party.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, this tweet says it all. They didn't just arrest Trump, but in full mafioso intimidation form, they arrested his lawyers, his advisors, his supporters, his chief of staff, his chief strategist, and his security advisor. They're being arrested for doing their jobs. They're trying the mob tactic of, the mob doesn't just kill you, they kill you and everyone who knew you. Your veterinarian and your family doctor too. These people have nothing to do with the alleged crime against Trump. This is a pure scare tactic. This is what's done in North Korea. This is also what Mao did, and Hitler, and Stalin, and Lenin, and Mussolini. And here are the stats from those wonderful... Oh, your face isn't here. Did I click on the wrong button?
I don't know. I wasn't going to say anything. It's fine.
It says guest 2. You're not guest 2. You're guest 1.
Oh,
there you are.
I was like, okay, well, I don't know if that's a hint or...
Look at... Don't ever say Samantha's not humble. She was...
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so you got that. The lying, the betraying, government's covering things up. We have flagrant corruption. There's censorship. All of these things, and complete systemic control of education, the media, the government, and the big, powerful industry players, those big companies that you all can rattle off. This is how you silently overthrow a country. These guys did it through force. This is what force looks like when you use a police state, when you use a military state to control people. And if you can't control them, then you disappear them. They're gone. You crush them. That's the 100 million deaths, which is the lowest, most conservative number. That's the 100 million deaths that the 20th century saw with communism. So now we've progressed onto something else. Now we do this thing called subversion, where they are trying to replace all of the democracy, all of the representative republicanism. That is our government. That is our way of life. They're replacing it with their ideological bullcrap in education, controlling the children and the future, in government, up into and including screwing around with elections, which everyone knows is a fact and is actively happening right now. And guys, we're going to see the same thing again this November. Guaranteed. Everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. No, the same thing is going to happen. Imaginary pipe bursts are going to happen wherever they're needed most. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe that, you're an idiot. So this is what's happening. I don't really have a super colorful and like, woo, we can rally from this. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Historians will look and say a date far to the left of today is when America's decline happened. So we're riding the wave, baby, down to zero. Hopefully, people who've prepared or just happen to be located in places that aren't going to be involved in the rebuilding.
It's funny because I saw the tweet that you're talking about. I saw the video of everybody chanting, and I was like, "Oh, we found something in common." This and the death of Kristi Noem's dog, the two things that people have been like united on. But the purpose behind why people are shouting that about Joe Biden are completely different on both sides, because we are against Joe Biden because he is destroying America, and the other side is against Joe Biden because, while these people have spent all of these years indoctrinating these college students to hate America, they kind of underestimated what was happening, and they just pretty much taught these college students to hate everything. They hate America. They hate, good principled values. They hate their own side. They hate the people that they vote for. Like, they just hate everything. They're not on the side of the people that have taught them to think this way. They have no boundaries. They have no morals. They want to destroy everything now. Like the left,
taught
the
them
right,
to
the
believe
middle.
this way, not to think
Yeah,
this way. They're not thinking anything.
There's no thinking involved. It's just
they've created these weird Frankensteins, these just woke.
Yeah, they're not even these woke Frankensteins aren't even on their side. They want them to get rid of them as well. So it's a very strange thing to see.
You bring up a good point in another kind of way, because we used to say, political ideologically, the right used to say the left will eat their own. Their ideology is so perverse, it's so stupid, they eat their own. But the right's been kind of eating its own for a while now. We don't give as good as we get. I feel like we give to ourselves greater than we dish it out to the other side. But not just about Kristi Noem's dog, but about like Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire, and then Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. And now I'm hearing Ben Shapiro v. Matt Walsh. It's just like, why do we do this? Meanwhile, there are people out here killing babies and all of the weird, there's no other way to say it, all the weird sex stuff that the left is into. And they've got pedophile islands and criminal rings, trading young women and young men, like playing cards and the Hollywood, all that weird stuff. And we're like, the contract terms between the Daily Wire and we need to be different than Fox News. I'm like, are you for real?
Yeah. Like, who cares?
Thank you. Who cares? That is the question everyone needs to answer. Who cares?
I mean, to be fair, I think I did a video on the Steven Crowder thing. I don't think it was about the contract thing. It was about his issues with his wife. That was like a long time ago. Yeah, that was a whole other situation. But I did a little bit on the Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro thing, but it was more just like, guys, we don't know what's going on. Like, let's calm down. But ultimately, yeah, I think, I don't know what it is, but I feel like people are just so caught up in making sure they're talking about what's trending versus the actual things that we need to be addressing, that it's like, oh my gosh, Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are fighting. Let's talk about that, instead of the fact that we have like millions of people flooding the border. And, I just did a video on retail theft in New York and how there's like this entire retail theft economy, and I can't get any views on that.
Really?
But second, oh my gosh.
You haven't watched when did you post that one? I watched all of your stuff. Did you post it today?
No, it was posted, I think, last week. Just briefly. You guys
Oh,
need to go watch this
I
because this
must
is
have missed one.
crazy. There's an entire retail theft economy run by like these theft rings where they employ like thousands, not thousands, hundreds of people to go in as these mobs and steal all of these things. They keep all of this stuff in warehouses and then they sell it on Amazon and Facebook Marketplace. So if you see something on one of these websites that it's at a deeply discounted price, there's a really good chance they stole it from like a Sephora or
Dang.
they stole it from Target. And we're the ones that are fueling this economy. So it's like, because we see these people go into like Sephora and Ulta and fill their garbage bags with like cosmetics. And I'm like, okay, I like makeup, but why do you need like, 8,000 things of mascara? This is what they're doing. And they've busted all of these rings, and it's the reason that like all of these Target stores are closing and all of these Walgreens stores are closing. It's not just about the theft, it's the fact that all of these people are stealing it, and then they're making their own money, enough to fund a warehouse, enough to pay employees, and enough to make millions of dollars for themselves. So it's like, yeah, it's an entire like organized theft economy that is thriving right now.
I don't know what is going on. What the streams are so weird. Facebook and YouTube are working flawlessly right now, but Rumble and Twitter, at least on my end, they're like super choppy. It's just
Yeah.
I pulled up Rumble because of the chat, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the video choppiness is like bugging me. It must hopefully it's just a me thing and we're not giving people seizures out there. Okay, I'm just gonna stop looking at it. I'm just gonna close it. Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. But
I
I was just saying, like,
just
there's all that going on. I'll post a video like that. Like, this is something we need to be aware of. I post a video of like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. I'll get like thousands of views on it. And the one about the retail theft, where it's like, we're the ones that are fueling our own demise. And I get like 25 views. I'm like, guys, this is what we need to be listening to. So it's funny. It's just funny.
so everything you say, I'm like, you bring up such a good point. You bring up such a good point. And in the digital media ness of it all, that's trend surfing or influence surfing. And the same thing happens to me. Like content that I include the image, name, hashtags, or whatever, like Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, that content goes bananas. That's got way more views than everything else on my little channels. And which is a tactic to funnel people in to care about and watch the more important stuff. But it's annoying and it speaks to the larger. I hate to use the word systemic because everyone's been conditioned to think systemic racism. It
Mm-hmm.
speaks to the larger cultural problem that we care about frivolous bullcrap.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I try to kind of have a balance because obviously you need to talk about things that are trending to bring people
Yeah.
in. But at the same time, it's like, can it, once you're here, maybe click on something that's a little more substantive, that might be more beneficial. I mean, did you guys hear about the AI generated race hoax from last week?
Oh yeah.
That was
That's
one I talked about too. I was like, this is important, guys.
that should have been posted wall to wall on all of the media coverage, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I where did I saw that on like a fringe show, kind of like ours, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what? I think I saw it on John Lovell show actually, not fringe, but
Yeah. That's another one. I did a video. These are all out there, guys. I'm trying to provide substantive content, but then I did a video on the Met Gala last night. It's like considerably more popular. I'm like, I don't want to talk about the Met
oh
Gala.
gosh, or like Taylor Swift or Kristi
Yeah.
Noem.
So
Hey, speaking of outspoken Samantha's content, you guys need to follow her channels. Man, that
yeah.
worked. I can't believe that worked. These buttons on the bottom, I don't use them much because they usually like screw up. Here, let's see if this one works.
Well,
Wow, look at that. All
yeah.
right, well, uh, honestly,
And
it's really frustrating because I deal with that issue a lot too, because the most substantive thing that I would desire to speak to people about is typically the problem of evil. You know, all of this ridiculous stuff, standard society, we can call it politics. I don't know. There was this tweet from Derek on Twitter. Derek never fails. Kristi Noem is like a box of chocolates. They'll both kill your dog. So,
that's hilarious.
yeah.
I did not see that one.
my dog.
Oh,
My dog's a gangster. My dog's had all the things. He's had grapes. He's had onions. He
he's
ate.
fine.
He ate a pure dark chocolate, like 86-90% chocolate bar. Had terrible diarrhea, thrown up all over, but he survived. My dog's like 7 pounds, and he's a little gang. I can't believe when he ate it. I was like, yes, my dog's finally gonna die. Now I hate my dog. He was a companion dog when I worked law enforcement. I was working nights, and we had no kids, so my wife was just home alone. And he's still here. He's like 14. It drives me freaking crazy. Anyway, that freaking dog, he's gonna outlive. He's not 14. He's 11, 12, something like that.
I don't know.
He's super old. Yeah, he's super old for a Yorkie. Guys, if you haven't heard, Kristi Noem has detailed in her latest book that she put down one of her dogs via, I'm guessing, bullet to the brain. I don't know. I haven't read the book. I've seen the outrage on social media. I gotta say, I'm in the unpopular camp. This tweet here kind of sums up my thoughts. It says from David Leatherwood, dangerous violent dogs who attack humans and other animals are put down, standard practice. When this happens with pit bulls, everyone supports it. I agree. When people put down pit bulls, everyone's like, whoa, it's a terrible evil dog. When Kristi Noem puts down a violent farm dog, the right launches a smear campaign. And I always post, give me a freaking break. So maybe I found a friend here. He posts, give me a break. I'll say, right, as you guys are clicking away and unfollowing me and writing, you bastard, don't say black bastard, because then the internet will be all over you. But I will say, we'll say this is anecdotal. Sure, I don't care. When I was a kid, we had a dog that had washed out of a shepherd that washed out of the Maryland State Police Academy. Incredibly smart animal. He could open doors. He could do all kinds of crazy cool stuff that police dogs can do. Incredibly dangerous animal. He attacked my uncle and chewed him all up, and we kept the dog. He attacked my best friend, who was a little bit older, so, I don't know, 10, 12, he survived. But he almost killed my little cousin, when she was like 2. So I am of the belief that a highly trained, dangerous animal like that can't be trained, especially for things like stop, a lot of times with a hunting dog or a working dog, the thing that you don't talk about, that's the problem in their training, is they mangle. They don't stop when you tell them to stop, or when the thing that you're training them to hunt, to include a bad guy, when it stops moving, the animal's supposed to be trained to stop moving, so they're not sitting there eviscerating people's flesh. Anyway, I hear you, internet. A lot of those animals can be rehomed and trained to live long, happy dog lives. But I will tell you from personal experience, and also from the experience of the farmers and hunters around here that have working dogs, a lot of them, you're training them in such a way to be a very dangerous and capable animal. And if they can't get the this far and no further aspect of the training, they're just an extremely dangerous animal. So I would have killed the dog if that were the case. I think that's the case with Kristi Noem. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Kristi Noem. I'm not just saying it because it's her that killed the dog. I am telling you that a working dog, a hunting dog, is a dangerous animal. It's got to be completely obedient. Otherwise, it can cause some real damage to human life. And I will kill a dog in a heartbeat to save a human. So
yeah, yeah. Well, and I know that this is a topic that has been kind of beaten to death. That's probably a poor choice of words, but I'm just saying, I just thought I'd throw that in there. And I understand that. I think I don't have a problem. I ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with the fact that the dog died. I have a hard time with kind of like with shooting an animal. Like a dog. Like, I mean, I understand like shooting deer, people go hunting. It's just a different, not all animals are the same. Some are pets. People have different perceptions of dogs than they do of deer. It's fine. My biggest issue is one, that she put it in the book, because to me, it is not a demonstration of strength, of leadership, of being able to make tough calls. It makes you look psycho. Second of all,
such a weird thing to put in the book.
Yeah,
I think she was trying to be like, I can do what needs to be done, like kill this dog. Yeah.
It was a very poor judgment call. And the point that I have been trying to make to people is that, unfortunately, in the political climate that we are in right now, perception is everything. The context does not matter. I mean, however they want to paint a story and however they want to pin that story to you is what matters. And like 99% of the people that are going to read this story know nothing about farm life. They're not going to know anything about hunting dogs. They're not going to know anything about, any of these things that actually like might make this an understandable decision in any way. All they hear is that Kristi Noem killed a dog, that she shoots puppies in the face, and that's it. That is all they are going to get from this story. So I understand, and I wasn't, because I've had several conversations with people about this issue this week. I understand what she did. I understand that it's a farm. I understand like everything you just said about, hunting dogs, and, they're either trained to do what they're going to do, or they're going to be a nuisance and potentially a danger. So I get that. Most people are not in that place where they want to even pretend to understand why you would kill a dog. So it's just, I think it was just a severe error in judgment, which is really unfortunate, because I like Kristi Noem. I don't know if I'd want her as VP. I don't know if she's someone I'd really ever want to vote for.
Do you hear all this talk that apparently the secret tapped VP candidate is Marco Rubio?
I've heard that. I mean, I've heard he's weird. At least in consideration. I have no idea. I hope that
have put some kind of sticky crap. Like there's sticky stuff on my mouse, on my cup. What the heck happened?
I think you never know. I know in my house, I do not drink anything that does not have a lid on it, because I don't know what my kids are dropping in cups and whatnot. But
I think it's honey. I think they were like touching my crap. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Anyway, it's really unfortunate. I mean, we can't contextualize anything. You can't look at it and be like, this is farm life and these kind of decisions are made on a farm. I mean, we can't even get people to understand slavery. Like, this is something that was happening all over the world a couple hundred years ago. People look at things through the lens of where they're at and what they understand in this moment. And so in this moment, based on their life experiences, based on what's right now, that means that like that's the way it's always been for everybody for all of time. So
yes, people are truly that stupid.
Yeah. And yes, unfortunately, you have to approach like your political campaign like people are stupid. In the middle, and part of their camping trip was to go out, and they would have to like dig out their place that they were going to sleep in the snow. So it was kind of like a little, I don't remember what they called it. It wasn't like an igloo, but it was just like this. Yeah. Anyway, they would sleep in that, and I mean, they did all the things. They did everything, and I just remember, I have so many memories of that, and feeling kind of bad for my dad most of the time, but they did it. And it was, it was incredible to just see some of the skills that they would learn. But I don't remember ever feeling left out. Like that there was something keeping me from going on that camping trip in the snow. I was perfectly fine not to be a part of it. But I think it's
And
just
girls are
one.
fine to go camping with their families, but you introduce a lot of unnecessary issues when you
Mm,
take young men and women out to go, oh, hey, let's go camp. Like, it's hard
mhm.
enough to take mixed sex groups on school trips where there are overnight stays and individual hotel rooms, but like out in the woods, there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, and I think, it's just again one of these things where it's just attacking anything that is going to reinforce positive gender roles. I understand people are going to say, well, the scouting programs have had its share of issues. They've had issues with predators getting involved in the programs and whatnot. And I think you can probably say that about any institution. But for the
Yep.
most part, the Boy Scouts of America has been known for being something for young men, to teach them these things that they probably wouldn't learn otherwise, and to give them the opportunity to do that with other boys, to have that separation and not have it be considered discrimination. And, at a time not that long ago when these programs have been particularly popular, no one ever thought of it as discrimination, where women
Mm-hmm.
weren't part of it until someone told us to be offended about it. And because of that, I mean, all of these things are just going away. And it just makes me sad. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're losing so much by losing these programs. And it's not that women don't have the opportunity to go camping and to learn survival skills. That's why we've
Yep.
had Girl Scouts and we've had all of these other things. So when people say it's, we want equal opportunity, it's like we've already had those. We've always had equal opportunity. We've always had access to these things.
It's not about equality now. Now it's about usurpation. The same thing with
Mm-hmm.
Black America. Black America, we've been equal to white people for a long time, and now we're not equal. White people systemically are inferior to black people. There are no programs where, like Samantha, as a white woman, will get a leg up over me, even if I have less experience just because I'm black. Oh, well, you're a woman, though.
I know. I was
Uh,
thinking, I'm like, one of us is going to have to change their pronouns.
yeah, but honestly, I think it depends on what the climate is like. Right now, I feel like typically the black card is more oppression points than being a woman. Uh
Yeah.
Depends on the institution, but most institutions, yeah. Uh
Yeah.
but it's so annoying. My theory with Boy Scouts and where it started to go off the rails, and we don't have to get into traditional gender roles and stuff like that. We can if you want to, but I am aware before I make this statement that there are single mothers. I get it, guys. Um, I think that this takeover, this usurpation, and woke indoctrination of Boy Scouts now, changed to Scouts BSA, Boy Scouts of America, now rebranding as just Scouting America. I think it started when they started letting women into the leadership of the individual troops.
Mm.
And it was this cutesy little thing. It started when I was a kid. I was a Boy Scout. I did not go all the way. I wanted to rebrand myself and be cool. So I did not get Eagle, which all of the best soldiers I ever had and I ever knew, they were all Eagle Scouts. So kind of regret that. But anyway, they started bringing these women in to do all this leadership stuff in the troops, and they were like, "Oh, it's cool. We have a den mother." It wasn't cool. It was inappropriate then. It was always inappropriate. There shouldn't have been for these guide development activities. They never should have brought in women because things are categorically different. The
Mhm.
classical philosophers, the geniuses of the world have always known this. Only now, only in this moment are we confused about what a woman is, about what a man is, about what femininity is and what masculinity is. Not to say that a man can't have feminine qualities or that a woman can't have masculine qualities, but a man can't be a woman and a woman can't be a man. Not just
Mhm.
the ancillary characteristics, but the thing. A
Yep.
car can't be a bike. They're just not the same. So all that to say, a woman, except in the most exceedingly rare circumstance, maybe, but possibly just not at all, cannot teach a boy how to be a man. I'm unaware of a method of operating whereby that is achieved, especially with any degree of like repetition. Like, hey, this is the method. This is the method for single moms to teach boys to be men. The method is to get a good, godly, strong male figure in their life. Who knows truth and who knows that men are supposed to jump on all of the grenades. When the war kicks off, the men are supposed to go and fight and die. And when there's plague and famine, the men are supposed to go and risk life, limb, eyesight, whatever, to go and deal with that. Not because women can't, because women and children shouldn't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and just as another thought that I was having, I was listening to you, but the thought I had wasn't really related to that.
That's fine. Happens all the time. I'm married. No, just kidding.
I'm just being honest. Like, I was listening, but I wanted to just kind of present like another side to this.
Fire away,
this kind of just popped into my brain. This seems like this is another opportunity to continue to sexualize pretty much everything. Because when you go into the Boy Scouts of America, like, or you go into the Girl Scouts, the focus is the skill. The focus is the thing that you're learning. The focus is it's to build yourself. It's personal development. It's very specific. And I think, when we see this in sports as well, the focus is the skill. It's what you're learning. It's what you're developing. But when you generalize these things and you start to eliminate, male and female as separation.
Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. It's a mistake, parents. I want to do it too. It's a mistake to remove all obstacle, all adversity from your child's life. And my parents, I almost feel like luckily there was adversity and struggle that my parents couldn't remove from my siblings' lives growing up, because their desire was to remove all struggle, all strive, anything hard or difficult. They did have those desires, and I thank God that some of those things were just too great for them to be. If my parents were like billionaires growing up, they probably would have had the resources to do away with all of that stuff. And that does not a resilient human, because your childhood, you're not raising kids, you're raising adults. You're not trying to replicate children, you're replicating what a functional adult is. And it's hard. I want to do those things. You probably want to do those things for your kids too. And it's so hard. It's so hard to not just do it for them, get it for them, build it for them. And now we live in the consumerism. It's hard not to just buy everything. Like, it's a little bit of a discipline to know that your kid wants these things and to actually wait to give it to them for their birthday or for Christmas when you can just go out and get it.
Yeah.
Kid says they want it, Amazon, boom, it'll be here tomorrow morning.
Or to have them earn it in some way and not just, say we're going to just get it because it's so easy. Yeah. No, and I completely agree with all of that. And I'll tag you in the video if I can find it, but I don't think that this kid was coming from a place of, I wish my parents had taught me to be more resilient.
I know he was being a little butt.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to say, like, you can recognize when someone's like, I wish I had been challenged a little more, versus I'm just trying to like find a way to be a victim. So
that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell, you can pick these people out of a crowd, but
I want to say it doesn't matter, but just out of curiosity, was it a white kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that because everyone experiences struggle and adversity. On the left doesn't think this is true, but sometimes a kind of an average, or if I could say like playing an ordinary white person, sometimes they have to reach for the thing that is going to be their adversity. And if they're not willing to do the gender ideology stuff and be like, oh, I'm trans, instantly oppressed, then they have to find stuff like this, like the thing that keeps me down is that my parents just did everything for me. It's like, wait.
Yeah.
Or like the girl from This Is Us who was skinny, but she had body dysmorphia. Like she thought she was fat and she was going to the fat girl support groups. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I completely forgot about it. Yeah.
They were all like making fun of her. She was like, I had a donut and then I needed to throw it up. Oh. Like, oh. Yeah. If you're dealing with any of those, they're serious medical conditions, and we hope that you get the help you need. They're medical and psychological, but.
Well, I know you've got to get to your other show, but I just want to let everybody know I'm posting a video tonight, and this is kind of in the same vein that we were just talking about, because I was watching this girl talk, like it was another TikTok video that kind of went viral a couple of weeks ago where she was crying about having to work 40 hours a week. And she was like, I don't know how to get everything done. I get off work at 5:30 and I'm too tired. And she's like sobbing. And I'm just like, okay. So you can see in the comments, people being like, okay, well, try to get some things done. Like, I know you're stressed, like try to manage your time better, maybe get a roommate if you feel like your rent is too expensive, make sure you're taking time to relax. People offering advice. And then in the next follow-up video, she's like, you guys are so mean. It's like, guys, I mean, we're trying to help you. Like, we're trying to give you advice. We're trying to help you problem solve, but it just seems like you don't want help. You just want to be coddled. You just want to be victims. So it was just kind of in that same vein of the kid who was like, I need to be a victim. My parents loved me too much.
Wow. Yeah. I'll have to watch that. I'll watch it tonight when you post it. Well, if you're still here, guys, thanks for joining us. That's the show. I'm not going to do the outro because Samantha's right. I got to get to the member-only after show. And if you want to watch it, you can watch it for free. Click on the third link in the description. It says, join free locals community. Join the free locals community, guys. You can also become a paid supporter. Supporters pay $5 a month. You get the awesome member mug and the t-shirt. And that's all I got. You want to shout anything out?
Yeah, just be sure you're going to Rumble, YouTube, subscribe, head on over to Twitter. Make sure you're following us. We like to have some fun conversations. So yeah, just be sure to join us every week on Thursday evenings, unless something comes up, which sometimes it does, but we try to be here.
Yeah. Good grief.
Thanks, guys.
I've tried like Instagram and other things, but Samantha's right. Twitter's where it's at. I really try and do the posting on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Go watch the locals.